Okay, we got onions. We cut them, usually. Rarely we eat them whole. So I'm going to first take a few strokes on my steel. I'm using 8-inch chef's knife, which is the thing I use most for everything, but you can do it with other knives. But it's about the most versatile knife in the kitchen. This one's already sharp, so I don't need much steeling on it. The onion has a root end and a stem end, so we cut those off, taking as little as possible, about a 1/4 inch or less of the stem end and the root end, and then we're ready to do whatever we want to do with the onion. And in most cases you cut that off first. Now I'm going to go around this way carefully and take one layer of the onion off. Anything that's green is not going to soften when you saute it, so unless you're making soup or something, you want to get rid of any green parts. This onion is a nice, beautiful onion, ready to go now. I'm going to start. Number one method of cutting an onion would be hamburger slicing. So that's a 1/4 inch or less, 1/4 inch or about 7/32 of an inch, I would say. Using my knuckles as a base for the knife, I just move back and then make my hamburger slices. And then those are beautiful. Now if I were going to cook like onion soup, take these slices then and cut just to the center. Okay, so now I've taken that and now I'm getting the longest possible strands. I take the full slices of the largest onions I can find. And then I take my knife, instead of cutting them in half, I cut just to the center, and then many of the slices I get are like 6, 7, 8 inches long, even on big onions. So it's beautiful and if you're making an onion soup, you want to make your original slices much thinner than a hamburger slice. So that's a sliced onion, 2 different types, either the rounds or the strings. And these are good. You can also cut these shorter if you want to put them into like a tomato sauce, short strings. Always think of what your texture is going to be. Now let's say I'm making a stir fry, like with some chunks of meat, chicken or other meat, shrimp. This is a very sad story. You can see me crying here. Alright, again I'm going to take off that single layer to get rid of any inedible parts, the paper and the first layer that's still green. Okay, for stir fry, remember the onion had a north and a south pole, if you think of it as a planet, and that's actually the root, the south pole. So I'm going to cut it from the north pole to the south pole. Now I have the 2 halves here, and then with my 2 halves I'm going to cut each of them into half across the equator, kind of, and then I go and make each of them about 3 or 4. So this is giving me chunks, or large dice you could call it, but this is perfect for stir fry. You know, where you want some texture, you don't want tiny little pieces, you don't want strings. You're stir frying with cubes of meat and other vegetables, so this is exactly what I want. I'll throw it right in the frying pan like that. They'll break apart. And for stir fry, that's the onion I want. I'll take the other half, and if I'm going to mince an onion, I shouldn't have cut it in half, but then I'm going to take that half of onion and I'm going to go like this every 1/4 inch or less. And this is how I'll mince an onion. Then I'll turn it this way and start slicing. And you'll see I'll get these really nice small dice. Small dice for many dishes like sauces and then when I've got that pile of small dice, if I want to go all the way, I can start mincing. And that's when you rock your knife, put your palm on that's why the knife is the shape it is, to rock on the cutting board. And keep going. Pull it back into a pile. And in no time at all you have a really fine mince. Let's say you're making an omelet or something. You want to mince it pretty fine so that you don't have these large chunks. So there I have minced onion. Just cleaning the blade of the knife off. Give it one final chop. So that's, we just did I think 4 different ways. There's another way I cut an onion which is fun if you're going to barbecue onion. This is really fun. Okay, this time I have an onion with its root and its stem. I'm going to cut it through the root. So put the root on top and cut right to the stem. So this is the equator here, so really I'm cutting from the North Pole to the South Pole through the root, this way, the hard way kind of. And then I'm going to put it down, and then I've done that. I can either cut it into 2, or in this case I'm going to make it into thirds. And I'm trying to go right through the root there, because now I have these sixths with the peel on, and I'll just take the peel off from the stem end to the root, pulling that off, but I'm leaving the root, and the reason is now I can throw this on the barbecue, and these pieces are all tied together by the root, and they'll barbecue. I mean, I can oil them a little if I want, or season them, but basically this is a great way to barbecue onions because this piece is going to stay together through the whole cooking process. Barbecue really beautifully, and then I can just throw it right on the plate just like that. You could actually use that in other dishes too, but this is what I cut for barbecue. Anyway, that's 5 ways to cut an onion. I think. Did I do any others? Stir, slice, dice, mince, barbecue. Yeah, dicing is before we minced it, we had it diced into small. You dice an onion, you take the half of an onion. I'm not going to peel it, but remember, you take your half of your onion, you cut it not all the way through, keep one end together to hold it together. I didn't peel this one, but this gives you the idea. Cut the size of your dice, your horizontals. Okay, and then you turn the whole thing 90 degrees and you cut it, and you get your square pieces. And that winds up with your nice little dice. Alright, goodbye. I'm crying.
Me too.